Hi, everybody.
I'm John.
And I'm Ann.
And this is
John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast. Okay.
I was playing keyboard. I know how to play piano.
He doesn't. All right. So this is a very special episode of John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast.
Yeah.
One, because it's happening.
It's the fact that we are back.
That's
we
massive.
We are back. We are returning like a wrestler after being gone for a long time. We're doing our rated R superstar Adam Copeland, aka Cope debut.
And we have a guest. And
unlike very special episodes of sitcoms, we hope this guest will not be dead by the end of the episode.
Wait, what?
You know when they'd have very special episodes of like Full House, and it would be like their grandfather would be on the show, and then he would die at the end of the episode, or there'd be like a drug overdose or something.
I have no. Oh. Yeah, okay, a very special episode.
Yeah, very special episode.
Okay. I
That's
feel
what
like
they would always do, a very special episode. And then on Full House one time they had Papuli. He was their like Greek grandfather.
Right. Okay, well, why don't you introduce our guest?
Okay, who will definitely be alive and
who's
well.
not going to die, because it's not even a thing that I was aware of.
Shoot dead anyway. Maybe work dead. But we have a legend in the improv and sketch comedy and comedy wrestling worlds, and also the host of the Who's That Pokémon podcast, which you can hear every friggin' week.
Every friggin' week,
this guy with this podcast.
Every single one.
One half of the XSW Tag Team Champions, my partner, my friend, Brandon Crackers the Luchador Phoenix Zelman.
Hey, hi, fly,
There
never
he is.
die.
Hi, Brandon. Welcome
Caw.
to the show.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for having me. That's my tag partner next to you, Ann.
That's me.
I know. I'm like fully starstruck.
I've
Yeah,
turned
this
on you
is-
multiple times, but now it's good.
And I've forgiven you.
Yeah.
Officially, on the record, you are forgiven.
I'm glad you guys are in a good place. Because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
worried for a while, you know? I especially, I remember being really worried when you were set on fire and cooked.
And Eden.
And eaten. Like, that was a
believe it?
really hard time for me. I was really concerned for you, but I'm glad to see that you overcame.
Look, we take a lot of bumps in the business, and
Yeah.
sometimes two nuns just cook you up in the burning bush, as created by the Lord in heaven, God. And then they take your birdie carcass out and they eat it in front of all of your friends. And then sometimes you return from hell after an exorcism gone wrong, and it's all part of it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all part of it.
But we do it
Yeah.
for the fans.
There should be a wrestling podcast called Bumps in the Road, and then just like wrestlers talking about road stories.
Do you remember that book that WWE published many years ago? I think it was called. Let's call it On the Road. I'm sure it wasn't that, but that would have been hilarious if they called it that.
Sure.
It had Big Show on the cover, and it was all road stories, and they were all really funny. And then I realized years later, I'm like, oh, there's no way they would actually publish any of the really good road stories.
No. They're not going to talk about like Kevin Nash doing coke while driving or something like that. They're
Yeah, good story.
Yeah, the great ones, the good,
Yeah, the good
inspiring,
ones.
the ones you can't wait to tell your kids about, you know?
I mean, I do remember Steve Austin having Kevin Nash on his podcast once, and Nash talking about like, hey, could I tell this story about this time that we were driving? And I think Steve Austin was like, no, don't tell that one, but you can tell this part of it. And I was just like, what did you do?
What did you guys
What
do?
did you? What is Stone Cold Steve Austin afraid to
We
have out in
only
the world?
hear it's really an iceberg in terms of these stories. We will thankfully, honestly, I don't think, is there a wrestler today that we could like if we knew what happened on the road? Hopefully. I don't know. We hope, we pray. New generation.
I mean,
right.
you know, that's the problem with being our age specifically, is that you start to realize that like there's very few people in the world you could in good conscience like.
Yeah. You usually have to wait. You have to wait for them to appear on a very special episode so that they die at the end, and then you wait a few months and still nothing, and then you go, okay, we're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
There
true.
you go. There you go.
That's it.
All right. So first off, we're talking about your tag team championship
Mm-hmm.
for XSW, which is a promotion we've talked about on this show in the past, albeit briefly. So maybe we could go into. I think there was a clip we wanted to look at.
Yeah. This I guess like people have the context for extremely serious wrestling, right? It's silly comedy wrestling.
Yes.
Performed mostly by comedians
Who are
and
generally
John and
not
I-
trained as wrestlers.
Generally not trained. However, on certain occasions, I would say rarely, on certain occasions, we would get real wrestlers to be on the show. Orange Cassidy appeared a number of times on
Many
the show,
times.
which was kind of amazing. I believe he lost like an IWGP.
Yeah, I was there for that too.
Yeah, he lost it to Sean from Michaels,
Yeah,
another friend of the
a
show.
crafty.
He still
He's
has
just
it.
a crafty boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so on one occasion, this is just to give a little context. I had returned from the dead after John helped betray me. John being at this point pixie dust.
Yes.
So he had started as Cheeto Dust. Now he's pixie dust, and he had unfortunately, betrayed me once again for the umpteenth time. But he promised he won't this time, or from here on out. He promised. And so we had I'm going to share my audio here. Hold please. We had a match to kind of even the score, and all of my tag partners were actual real wrestlers. And
I remember this.
John had some comedy wrestlers on his team. Oh, and don't worry.
I think we had one person who was actually a trained wrestler, and he took literally every move.
Yep, it's true. You got to give him credit. Okay, so here, just thought we might pop for a little. Okay, are we getting any audio? We're not. Here we go.
Remember this, the Ugly Duckling?
All right.
There we go.
Okay, here are some of my teammates, the Ugly Ducklings. A great team that did a crazy, the Launchpad McQuack, I believe was the name of it, which is a monkey flip into Delightful Dan the Candyman in a big stool. Let's see. Okay, we got some more friends here. And then we were supposed to have another partner, but they were suffering from something.
She's got big hair and a bigger smile. Willow!
Wait, what?
Wait,
I somehow don't even remember. I was
I
in
was-
this match, and
I
I
was-
don't remember.
I was at this and I don't remember this.
Yep.
I mean,
Wait, now I do kind of remember it now that I'm thinking about it.
Nasty bad habits. What they do?
What the hell are you doing?
They found me backstage in the locker room.
I was looking for you all day.
And they tried to break my wings.
What? I told you! You're a monster!
I'm here trying to defend the honor of my baby boy, Felix. And they gotta be party poopers. It's okay. It's okay. You wanna know why? Because I found backup.
Who's the backup?
She's the mother of the SSW mid-card champion. She's got some wings of her own. Ladies and gentlemen, Solo
And for those who are maybe only listening, the mid-card champion at this point is a little puppy dog. It's a
Yes.
corgi
Yeah.
who won the title, I believe, earlier on the show.
it's Officer. Oh, what is his name? Officer Magnum, I think.
But there you have it, folks.
He's a
Just
little
a sweet
dog
little
cop.
taste.
That's so cool. I was at that show, and now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember that Willow was there, but I
I
did not know
remember-
her at the time, so I did not know.
I did not either. I don't think,
remember
John,
her
you knew
name.
her.
No, I didn't, but I remembered that name, and then I think even though I knew Solo Darling was the name of the wrestler that was in the match, I think I kind of forgot that she wasn't Willow Nightingale, and then eventually I started seeing Willow on TV, in like ROH and AEW, and I was like, and I just kind of forgot that I was also like, a lot of times on those shows we don't meet people beforehand, and we also don't like there's a lot going on, and I had to get the friggin' face paint on every time, so I was like kind of not paying attention to things as much.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so
What
cool.
year was
Wild.
that? 2018?
2019, I believe.
2019.
I
Oh my
believe
God. So
so,
she would
yeah.
have been either in WoW already or like about to be in WoW, Women of
Yeah,
Wrestling,
I
because that
mean-
was when WoW was on Pluto and she was in it.
She's definitely in ROH in like 2020. I remember watching, or 21, whenever they came back from, maybe 21, because they didn't really do much in 2020, but maybe she was on it before.
That's so exciting. I
crazy.
didn't know we were friends with Willow Nightingale.
Yeah, I didn't know
Guys-
what you call her.
Well, you're not friends with her, John. If you remember, Pixie Dust, you were on the team of the people that attacked her backstage.
But yeah, I've changed.
She was actually, I'm her baby boy Phoenix. So,
You are.
you know, I'm her
Okay.
little baby Phoenix. So
But now that you're friends with John again,
that's true. I'll try to make the connection. It might be though a Jey Uso kind of situation where I'm your friend and I've forgiven you. I'm Cody in this situation, but everyone's like, "Hey, we didn't forget and we didn't forgive."
That's true.
that's true. John is very shifty. He's like,
Can't be
He's-
trusted.
you can't.
He's a
you never know.
tweener at best.
You never know what he's gonna do. He's a wild card.
Ooh, I don't know. I can't trust that smile. Is it like a happy smile or a mischief
Yeah.
smile? We don't know.
I'm happy.
You just
What about this smile? Does it make you feel at ease?
I don't feel good.
Well, now that we've established both of your wrestling bona fides as experts in the world of wrestling, because unfortunately for the audience, I had to spend most of this week recapping Selling Sunset. So I only saw what I needed to see this week as far as wrestling proper, not wrestling reality TV, because I do consider Selling Sunset a form of wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
Everything's wrestling.
But maybe we should just dive into like what we wanted to talk about for the week, like what we watched this week. What's going on, Brandon? What was your favorite thing that you saw this week? You think?
Great question. So I watched. What did I watch? I watched clippies of SmackDown. I watched main event Crown Jewel and a little piece of that, but mostly I watched Dynamite and Collision. Of which there was plenty of good yummies. It was kind of like a leap if you think about it from 1 week in terms of Collision wise. We had a week ago. We had like this absolute pay-per-view level match, and then this week it was like the tag team, it felt a little less maybe story centric, which was kind of a bummer. But
It's like a Raw main event.
yeah, just kind of like, hey, what about those characters that I like? Swerve and AR was really good. Was Wednesday Sky Blue Spitting Blue Mist? Was that Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
So much
That
happens
That was great.
because I
Yeah.
watched Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, and so much happens, especially on Dynamite and Rampage. Like they don't even really have commercials. Like I'll get up to go to the other room when there's a commercial on and go do something, and then I'll realize there's been a promo happening, and then they just go right into another match, which is probably smart considering they want people to not leave or change the channel.
It's
So-
dense.
Brandon, you didn't watch Crown Jewel except for the main event?
I watched Crown Jewel. I skipped through, I guess, everything except the main event. I watched like some of the John Cena match, and then I watched the full main event. What is that?
Yeah, I watched Taxi Driver. I skipped right to the part at the end where he's killing everybody, but the rest of
He
it.
kills everybody at the end?
Spoiler. Or does
Dang,
he?
dang.
It's kind of debated whether or not what's going on,
Oh, I see.
and if it's
John and
it's
Ann
fantasy.
talk Taxi Driver. My
So
favorite
you're
part.
not mad if we say spoilers?
Oh
about
no!
Crown
I
Jewel?
would
Okay.
go to the. I should say I had no intention of watching this show.
Okay.
It was very long, and it was like I gotta do laundry at some point, But I
Yeah.
watched the beginning and end of every match, so I know what
Okay.
happened. I know that people appeared.
Yes.
That was huge. That was huge, guys.
That was what I watched was for Kairi because I saw that on
Oh,
social media, and then I was like, I gotta sit and watch this match with him.
That was epic.
Because I want to see Kairi. I was surprised. I was complaining about this to you. I was surprised they didn't give her an entrance, really. I mean, pop-up is fun, but I was expecting music and, a run-in,
You would hope. You would hope. I love a run in on that stage too because it's far. It seems very. It seems
The old
vast.
Great Muda clothesline, because if you've never seen that, in Japan, Muda used to do a thing where he would run to the end of the ramp and then run to his standing groggy opponent and then clothesline them, but it would take him like 30 full seconds to run to them, and they would just have to stand there and wait for it.
I do love the wrestling assertion, like wrestling physics. I love that they use the cartoon physics of the further you run, the more force you're going to hit them with.
Oh yeah.
Even though I don't think that actually makes any sense. I don't think that's real. Like
Certainly not. Certainly. What about the wrestling physics? Okay, wait. I saw this on Crown Jewel. You got Solo he's gonna spike John Cena. John Cena catches the hand and is fighting the thumb from touching his thumb as if at this point it could do anything.
Yeah,
He's like, and Zola's he's pushing that thumb. He's like, I'm just gonna gently push this thumb into you,
poke
John
ya.
Cena.
I'm gonna poke you, John Cena. It would feel a little weird to get
poked.
to get gently poked in the throat. I'm doing it right now, and I don't like it. I can tell you that right now.
And he was already hoarse, as we saw. Was that Was he workhorse or was it shoot horse?
Did he do a promo? I didn't see him.
Oh, he did a promo on SmackDown. He's like,
Oh, okay.
"Can I tell you something, Solo?" It's actually very
Wow.
well worth watching. He's like, Solo, I'm gonna break you down in 90 seconds because I can't talk, and then he just calls him like bargain bin Taz, and
Wow.
he does him real good.
Wow.
Yeah, so I watched that.
All right.
Well, that's
Anyone
pretty
else have
cool.
a favorite? I'm trying to think of favorite. Claudio and Orange had a great match.
They did
Oh,
on Dynamite
man.
for the International
Yeah.
Championship. I
Gosh,
kind of
man.
almost wanted Claudio to win, and I love Orange
Yeah.
Cassidy, but man, they really got screwed by that Moxley injury because
Confused everything.
because they were. I mean, the whole thing was that like Orange Cassidy had this long title reign, and it took the former world champion to beat him, and it was going to be like Orange Cassidy was for the first time ever like coming to terms with caring about something. Like he was sad that he lost the title and he wanted it back, but he like didn't want to admit that he cared, and that he was sad about it. And he was supposed to like get built back up to like beat Moxley or something, but then Moxley got hurt, and then Phoenix had it, and then they just gave it back to Orange Cassidy. So it was, I feel like it kind of threw out all their plans. And
Yeah,
so I was
it's a
going, like,
mystery
to
now.
Claudio,
It
and
feels like
Claudio-
I don't. Yeah, Claudio. He's such a talent.
He is a
Claudio.
talent.
Yeah, he deserves everything. He deserves everything.
He does.
He should be
I
all of
don't
the
like
champions.
Claudio. I don't respect Claudio at all.
Uh-huh.
At all. Listen, I'm from Yonkers.
I don't
Claudio
know.
can
if
eat
you-
my little ass.
Yeah.
All right. What did you have something on your list too to start with as well?
I had a lot of things. I mean, well, in preparation for the very special episode that we had here, I watched far too much wrestling. I didn't watch Raw and SmackDown, but I did watch my Dynamite and my Rampage. And then on yesterday, I spent basically the entire day watching wrestling. I watched New Japan Pro Wrestling's Power Struggle, which was great. And I am the big New Japan guy, and I would watch that anyway. Then I watched some of Crown Jewel. Then I took a break. Then I watched Collision. And then I finished Crown Jewel today. And, it's fun. Crown Jewel had...
Hang
Because
on.
it's hard to...
Before you
what?
get off to the races, I just want to tell Brandon a funny story, which is that this morning he walks into the room where I'm at, and he's like, "I really didn't mean to watch this much wrestling." And I was like, "Well, what could you possibly have meant to do otherwise?"
I think I said I just thought maybe at some point my brain would intervene and be like,
It has not yet up until this point in your life, so I don't think.
no. I mean, it
I don't
tried.
think yesterday
It's
was
back
the
there.
day.
It's
Yeah.
in the back, and it's like, let me out. Read a
There-
book. Go outside. Do something. I'm like, nah, we're good.
I
Get
sent
here.
John
Why
a
would I do
clip
that?
of XSW yesterday, to which John takes back. Maybe I should get an IWTV subscription. Maybe I need to introduce somehow more wrestling into my.
We already have Fight Plus. Like we can watch GCW and stuff like that.
There were, by the way, Friday night there was a GCW show, and Saturday night there was also a GCW show. So if you wanted to, you could have in one day watched a New Japan pay-per-view, Crown Jewel from WWE, AEW Collision, and GCW. I think it's C or No.
If you wanted to, but only if you want. If you
Only
really-
if you-
I don't. I love wrestling so much, but it does feel like we're in this golden age where my completionist brain needs to kind of let go a little.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to watch Dynamite. I have to watch Collision. I have to watch every second of both of these shows. And even that, I've talked myself out of Rampage. But that's 4 hours. That's so much time.
It's so much time. It's really ridiculous. And my completionist brain also is having to deal with that with a lot of different content because with like streaming services now. It used to be like, oh, you could watch. There's a bunch of Star Wars movies, and then like every once in a while there's a show or a cartoon every couple of years, and you can watch it. Now it's like every month there's a new 8 hours of this that I could watch, and it's expanded too much.
Yeah.
But Crown Jewel is great because every time you're like, well, maybe they've made some advancements, and women are allowed on the shows now, and they killed that guy a couple years ago, I guess, and then like. Now it's like they bring out a guy that's an actor. They did a Miz TV segment for literally just nobody needed this thing, and I kind of fast forwarded through this.
I actually watched that segment. Now that I guess I watched more of the show than I thought. I just couldn't figure out what the end goal here was.
Well, he brought out the comedian who's like an actor from Saudi Arabia, and it was just like, this feels like the Saudi government is like, you have to have this guy on. But then the movie that he was from was about him wanting to be a WWE superstar, which felt like WWE being like, this movie has to be about this. And it's just like this propaganda Ouroboros where it's just it's a corporate and fascist propaganda all wrapped up into one.
It's one of those moments where you remember how most movies get made, which is just that like somebody has money.
Yeah, that's true.
And like they're like, we want to make a movie.
It's usually Disney, yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, and in this case, I guess it was likely the government and a major corporation that operates like it's the government deciding to make a movie and then having the star do a people's elbow on Grayson Waller, which happened.
Yeah.
Which did happen.
One good thing I'll say about that, though, is that the actor he got his ass kicked before the wrestler intervened. And oftentimes, I've seen a lot of Flo Rida and Florida Georgia Line show up on Raw and just beat the shit out of every wrestler with ease, with no help.
Well, fame actually makes you powerful. I don't know if you know this, but fame makes you powerful. There's certain people that there's certain people that you're good with kind of leveling people. Mickey Rourke leveling Chris Jericho after a 20-minute match. Like, that should happen. Or Hugh Jackman punching Dolph Ziggler in the greatest moment in Raw history.
And breaking his jaw.
Yeah, love that. He told him to, kind of, right? I mean, he
probably
like,
told him to like go hard, and he was like, "All right, mate," and then he just did it. And
Sounds good. Wolverine claw.
You want the claws or not?
I'll put the claw. I got the claws in my bag. I don't think I'm getting the accent. I don't think I know it.
Good Australian accent.
Thank you.
Why are you getting canceled for making
in
fun
Australia?
of Australians?
Specifically in Australia.
Australians know we make fun of them.
That's true.
They participate in it sometimes. I've seen podcasts where they teach people how to say, is it NAR? NAR?
NAR.
Yeah, they're like, say NAR, and it's like NAR, and it's do you say it fast enough? Anyway.
NAR.
So Crown Jewel.
I mean, it was. I will say the world title match the first world title match was really good and advanced the story, and that was Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. And then I actually was okay with the Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest match. That was good. And then there was the women's title match was good, but the crowd seemed kind of dead. One thing that was funny that I had a thought of was John Cena lost, which I think was good that he lost. And maybe it does mean he's gonna like go away, because typically the John Cena story of like, I don't know if I can still do it, I have to beat you or I'm done, means that John Cena is gonna win, and somehow he lost.
Although he has continued to lose for many years now, and that has been the main thing that he has said before every match in the last 5 years.
That's true.
Wouldn't it be funny if he left WWE in shame after like losing constantly, and then he just like left in tears, and that's how the WWE like ended his?
John Cena.
I would love that. And they're
awesome.
like, John Cena will not be in the Hall of Fame. He lost for too
he's
long.
A loser.
They give him Baron Corbin's gimmick, or his old gimmick, where he's like, I got ketchup on my shirt.
I love that's one of my favorite gimmicks of all time, because also I liked how that character, and I'm not like a huge Baron Corbin fan, but I loved how that character would just like, he had a bunch of money he lost something. It just flowed really logically. I don't remember the history of Baron Corbin.
Yeah,
he lost his money
more logically than most things did with them at that time in terms of storylines, for sure.
He's still the last person to pin Roman Reigns in a singles match.
Remarkable.
Is Baron Corbin from that like 7-month feud they had that just would not end. But
terrible.
I liked when they had John Cena as they keep calling him the greatest of all time, which is funny because that's what they're going to be calling Roman Reigns in 10 years every time. And then Braun Breaker or Von Wagner or whoever decides to be the guy after that. But when when he was leaving, Michael Cole was like, he means more to me than any other WWE superstar in history, and I just can't wait for him to say that about Roman Reigns in a couple of years too.
Yeah.
Whoever they want.
Yeah.
Maybe it was true.
It's important to put someone over really, really, really hard because that's how you make stars. You pick one person and then you tell everyone that they're the greatest, and then they leave for 2 years to do Fast 11, which John Cena's going to do, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I will say, of all the wrestling that I watched and forced our cat, Kathy, to watch with me, the one that she showed the most interest in immediately was WWE, because it's just, and this is what I've been saying before, it's just lights and sounds for the most part, and it's great for a cat or like a baby. It's just
Babies love sounds and light. Oh my
do.
God, they lose it for it.
You know?
Yeah. And there's lots of stuff flying around the screen, words and letters, those 3D things they always have hanging over the,
There was that big falcon they kept showing.
Do we have favorite big 3D things and least favorite big 3D things? Have we
Oh,
talked
I
about
saw a
this?
really cool one. The Damian Priest match had an archer, like a hooded archer,
Oh, right.
like
Oh, wow.
a really creepy 3D hooded archer who like pulled a bow out and an arrow and shot it. And
Really?
then went back to doing this. You know how the Judgment Day has those like
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
those. Those are my
hooded
favorite
guys?
ones.
I think those are the coolest ones to me.
Can't believe they're still trying to get Archer of Infamy over. Is it just because it's still his Twitter handle?
Maybe. I don't know. But I was telling John that I really love that the Judgment Day are heels, not because they say like offensive, horrible things, but because they're just like spooky. And they're just like, ooh. Here we
Sneak
go.
away.
Like they're spooky,
Yeah.
scary skeletons.
They are
Yes,
spooky.
they have no magical powers, but they sure act like they do. They're really
Yeah.
like high school students who pretend to have magical powers. We all
Exactly.
knew those kids, and
Yeah.
maybe we were those kids.
They're witches. They're little baby witches.
They're kind of like rich
Exactly.
high school goths.
Yeah.
Like their parents are
Yes.
pretty well off, but they want to be sad.
Yeah. Brandon, do you have a favorite 3D little guy?
I guess I really like the New Day had that like jumpy little animated like video game one that was very cool. I don't know if that's still around. And I don't like this, but I appreciate them just having their top star in the company still have this like spooky Roman Reigns like PS2 graphic of his like dead face with no pupils. It's like you could fix that, right? I mean, you could fix it. They fixed all the other ones. Why is this so bad? You know? It's weird.
I was thinking that exact same thing, and I was also going to say PS2.
Yeah, and they
Very.
added like lines coming off it. They're like, we'll add dramatic anime lines coming off of this, and it's only drawing attention to it. I think maybe I like the idea that he enters from like between his own legs, like like the what was it the seventh wonder of the world that split the river Tiber.
Colossus or whatever. Is that
The Colossus.
Colossus of Rhodes.
The Colossus of Rhodes.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
And you don't think about the Roman Empire? Anyway.
Well, I'm Italian, so some of it is just in there. The it's funny though that you bring that because Roman, like the Judgment Day has the hooded, cloaked evil guys, and like Roman just has himself. Like the other superstars have like an interpretation of their character. Like something to represent them, and his like, nah, it's just me. It's just a big me.
What would you do? Would you have like a table that
It could be a big Roman guy. It could be a big Roman emperor or something like that.
Oh yeah, but that wouldn't be him. That would be acknowledging Caesar. It wouldn't be acknowledging Roman.
I guess he is so far up his own ass.
It's
that
also
he,
a little bit Imperium-ish. I think Imperium has cornered the market on the Roman Empire iconography.
That's a good point.
You see them as the Roman Empire, not
Not
Greek?
what?
they were. They feel sometimes they're like.
Imperium is literally Latin.
They got the
guess so,
big
yeah.
pillars, right? It's
That's
the big.
true.
Yeah, they got Roman columns, and their name is Latin, so I associate it with the
All right,
Roman
that's fair.
Empire.
Were you
But
thinking German?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Thinking,
you were thinking of the German Empire?
not empire, but they were.
Okay.
Wasn't an empire.
There are allusions. There's like there's certain coats, there's certain buttons appearing on certain coats that seem somewhat suspect.
I do kind of think of Imperium as just like the axis of evil. I'm like, okay, an Italian guy, a German guy. What are we doing?
Yeah, they almost added Tozawa to the group, and it was like, this is.
Oh my god. No,
this
they
is
Oh, the WWE. But they couldn't possibly be like racist in any way, right?
No,
that couldn't
nothing
be what's
about
happening.
everything they've ever done would imply that.
No.
And
No,
Yeah.
Booker T
of course
won at
not.
WrestleMania 19 famously.
God.
He won the
Oh
World
my
Heavyweight
God.
title.
All right.
God.
Should we talk about AEW now?
Yeah.
It's a happier,
I would love to. That's the show that I watch.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it's a happier vibe in
Yeah.
many ways.
It's good.
It is good. It's so Dynamite was great.
I loved the Dalton Castle thing. I see in your
Oh.
notes you have Dalton Castle there.
It was cute, but it was very weird because he could have done like a little promo to be like, because he just kind of like came out, said nothing, and was like being weird and quirky, and then he took the
Yeah.
trophy like a little boy who was being bad and threw it to get a match, to get them to agree to a match. But it was funny that he didn't.
Did
just
you see the
say
promo
that
he
and-
did after with
No,
Leah?
I missed that.
Oh,
No.
I just saw it on Instagram. It
Oh,
might have
maybe it
only
was-
been on
yeah, it might
social
have been on
media,
social.
but it made me laugh really hard because his eye was hurt. And he like it devolves into him like rolling around on the ground screaming as Leah's like over him like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God. And he's like, no, get out of here. Because he's screaming about how he sent the Acclaimed, he wanted to help them celebrate their 69
Mhm.
and
Appropriate guy to have in that.
he'd sent them an email and they ignored him. So he's like, the only way to get through to people like that is to make a big splash. Or something.
That is all of wrestling logic. Simply have this conversation somewhere else. You don't need to walk out in front of 25,000 people and be like, hey, you bumped my car with your car earlier. But
Yeah.
that's how things are solved. in
It
this
must
true.
have been it must have been a social media only promo, which is a weird thing for AEW to do. But
Yes.
Yeah, that adds a lot of context to it. But it was
I
cool
love
to see
him.
him.
I thought, I was even hopeful that this would just be their next feud because
Yeah.
I think I just can't look away when he's on television. I just love him and his little birds.
Yeah,
They're
you
so
know
special.
his baby chickens. I've said this before, right? That I went to college with him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, with
Really?
we're both broadcast communications majors at SUNY Brockport, where he also wrestled. And I interviewed him at one point before. He was not a wrestler. I didn't even know he liked wrestling. Like professional wrestling. He had been a wrestler athletically since like middle school. And our school was actually like a very good Division III school for wrestling. Like our team won a lot. And I like interviewed him for some documentary I had to make for a class, but I didn't know that he liked professional wrestling. But it makes sense because he was always like pretty much like that. Exactly. He was always
Yes.
very like heightened and always joking and doing, and so he would dress very colorfully all the time. He was cool. His name is Brett. I'm completely blowing up his spot right now. But no,
Brett.
yeah,
Brett, huh?
I think he
Wow.
knew Brody Lee too because they're both from Rochester, or we went to school in Rochester, and so I think he started wrestling in that area, Rochester, New
It's
York.
amazing.
Yeah,
I had
so
no
I'm very
idea.
excited every
Wow.
time that I see Dalton Castle. That's I'm excited that he's there.
Yeah,
Also,
he's our boy.
he has the same voice as Juice Robinson.
I think Juice Robinson has big Jack Black energy. Do people talk about that? I
No,
think
but it's a good point.
He's got. I think that's what he brings to the table. I think it's. I think he wants to sing, Classico and Kickapoo.
This is
and,
just a tribute.
it doesn't it feel. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I
Next
see
time
what
you
you're
see
saying,
it,
yeah.
Is
it's
all
very-
of that kind of, and I don't mean derivative in a derogatory sense, but is all of that a little bit derivative of AC/DC essentially? Is that what
Oh,
those guys are
interesting.
doing?
Interesting. Oh, the music for sure. The music for
Mm-hmm.
sure. It's.
I'm trying to think of where that voice comes from, and I feel like it's just an arena rock 80s glam voice.
Yeah.
That makes me think about AC/DC, but I don't know if it's from that.
No, that's a good point. I think it probably is. There, Tenacious D is very like heavy metal inspired, so it's a
Yeah.
lot of high pitched metal singers that they try to emulate. But yeah,
And now
that's,
Jack Black is Bowser. How about that?
Oh yeah, he is.
Oh
He's Bowser
yeah.
now. So you pitch him down, whole new voice.
Yeah,
And he sings the Peaches song. Children love the Peaches song. It's a
I haven't
hot
heard
song.
the Peaches song. How does the
It's-
Peaches song?
It goes peaches, 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 peaches,
Oh,
peaches, peaches,
yeah.
peaches. It's
Oh, yeah.
not good. It's really not anything, and yet it has captured the minds of millions. So
like
who am I to
WWE.
say? Like, there you go. Good transition.
Even though we're talking about AEW, I
AEW.
thought you were gonna say the millions of peaches. Peaches for me. I thought you were going to think that song from the Presidents of the United States of
I
America.
love that band. I do
Yeah.
love that band.
I only know that song from them, but I like that song.
They have a song I'll play for you later. It's about kitties.
Okay, great. Millions of kitties. Kitties. But yeah,
So Ric Flair's back.
Well,
that was
yeah,
maybe
well,
a week ago. I don't know.
God, Ric
that
Flair.
Richard Flair.
I don't need this. Please.
I couldn't believe it. Because I was like busy, and then I saw that, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to watch Dynamite this week because that's gonna make me sad. And because I already get so mad about how few women's matches they have, and then when I see something like that, I'm like, now you're just rubbing my face in it.
Yeah, WWE was like talking about how much time they had devoted to women's content that week, and I'm like, man, AEW, you really gotta. This is ridiculous.
It's embarrassing.
It is.
It's embarrassing. You know what always gets me is like they'll just AEW will be like, hey, here's like a great women's match with two great wrestlers. They had one with Willow and Emi Sakura this week. Great match. Just no context for it. And then the one story that they are kind of like working on, they'll just drop them backstage. Like 9 times out of 10, they'll just have like a weird, silly interview instead of like in the ring where, things are just like they matter when they're in the ring,
Yeah.
And you have that like awesome. I felt like on last week when Sky Blue spit blue mist. Can you believe blue mist?
Blue mist.
When
Can you believe
she
you heard about
spits
this?
blue mist, it was like the most surprising thing on that episode of television. I was like, wow, okay, that was like a total turn, and also like great. Okay, we're making an investment in Sky Blue, who has been working very hard, and also like desperately needs like a character. And then like then I guess it was Collision maybe like they resolve it by Chris Statlander and Willow and her backstage, and she's like, I'm friends with her, I'm not friends with you. And then she's like, like, how is this the next step of that storyline? Is like, whatever.
I kind of wish she had
away.
just turned, because I was like, when she turned back and spit in Julia Hart's face, I was like, wait, I like being surprised, but I'm also like, where do we go though? Because that makes me feel like now she's just going to stall out. I thought this was the progression we were about to get, and then we didn't get that progression.
If what if you get like she's like good Venom, right? Like there's like bad Venom, and then there's good Venom, and
Like
now
good
she's like
slime. Yeah.
yeah, like she's like it's now she's gonna use it for good, but she's like kind of she's got all these evil powers, but like she's gonna use these evil powers against these bad guys.
Sky
I don't
Blue
know.
is the lethal protector. That's what she is.
It's just such a bummer. It's like
Yeah.
it's just a waste of all these talented people. I'm like amazed at how much floundering happens.
They
And
also-
And every time I see Emi Sakura do anything, I'm like always like, it's amazing this woman isn't booked more. It's amazing.
it's
Yeah.
Shocking. She's so good, and she's so
She is
funny,
so
and
good.
she's so
Bulletproof.
she's such a great wrestler. Anyway, what were you saying?
They also always put the women's match on at like 9:30 at every single one, and it's like, or they main event, and it's like main eventing is cool. It is a sign of respect, but I think the real show of confidence and the real sign of respect would be to have a women's match open an AEW show,
Yeah.
because that is a lot of trust. And I 100% believe that they could do that with no issue, but they just don't do that. So it's either main event or like 9:30, and 9:30 is kind of like a dead zone, because
Yeah.
people are like, okay,
It's
I'm
basically
starting
the
to get ready
match-
for the main event now. And
The 9:30 women's slot is so beautifully like, and you just watch this one and then you can go to bed. That's like for me specifically, because it
Actually-
knows I want to be in bed by 10.
They're looking out.
And they're like, and you can do your skincare right after this match is done, and then you can go to bed. It's perfect. But I agree with you.
They've got 5 hours of television. You can't use a little more of that time to build some characters. I mean, we've got Toni Storm having like a career moment, character moment like that.
This
That
is
is
great.
amazing. I like
And
that.
Yeah.
they are
Just-
pushing her so hard, almost
Yeah.
like I worry a little bit too hard, because part of the thing that I love about this character is that she doesn't have the title, and that's why she went crazy. So now it seems like she's about to just win it back, and
Yeah.
it'll be great, but I worry that people will be like, okay, because it's like she's so good, and it's evolving like every week, but it can't just be her. And also, I
Yeah.
think that she should go after the TBS title, not the world title, because she A, hasn't had that one, and B, it's TV, so it's like TV and movies, which would
Yeah.
fit her gimmick.
Oh, wow.
And I did
That's
also,
good.
I'll steal something that I saw from social media that somebody did say she should win it and turn it into the TCM Turner Classic
Oh my
Movies
God.
title.
That's so funny. And you do a black and white belt?
Yeah. Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great.
man. Just
What if she just keeps
invest.
losing and goes crazy and just makes that belt on her own?
She could do that.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love that. I think I think it's like a really interesting dynamic also for this very unpredictable kind of character.
Yeah.
Like the way that she wins and the way that she loses is like unique to just that kind of character.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be from calculating. It's going to be from her like erratic like her like erratic character combined with her like technical skill. Like we had this character for however long she was signed before this, and we saw how good of a wrestler she is. And so
Yeah.
you have like her doing these like killer pile drivers and stuff combined with her just like, we don't know, she's just eating an orange right now. I really like that.
And she eats them with the peel, which is great.
With the peel and squirts juice all over everything.
And she really
It's
does
great.
it too. She's shoot eating that orange.
All
goes
the
so hard.
nutrients are in the skin. That's what my grandfather used to say.
All of them.
That's what he used to say.
Maybe some of them. I mean, I'm not going to deny that it's there. There's got to be some nutrients in there.
You got a lot of nutrients in the sticker too. You got to leave the sticker on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the main nutrients
That's the
are.
protein.
Very tasty stuff. Very
Uh,
tasty.
I did also. I really loved the MJF acclaimed stuff, and I love that they have been surprising me with all this stuff with MJF, because it's like they had multiple. Because usually in wrestling, it's easy to predict the storylines because it's like, well, this is the only other character that this person is involved in currently, so this is who it will be. And with MJF, he's like interacting with so many different people, and it could have been the acclaimed, could have been the Kingdom and Roderick Strong, and it could have been. He had at that point like Wardlow, Samoa Joe, and somebody else going after his title and like challenging him. And it's like he could just nuke
Yeah.
Bullet Club Gold with like world title guys and just hit, like murder them to get those belts back and just like promise them all title shots and deal with it later. But and I didn't know which way they were going to do it. I also, I just loved like the relationship between him and Max Caster, because it is cute that they started together and they're both from Long Island, I believe, and they're both named Max.
Yes.
And it is just fun that it's now a thing, and they're like two of the most popular acts in the company. And then on Collision, they had the thing where he was like, I don't love the Acclaimed, but I'm starting to maybe like the Acclaimed. And it was very sweet. And he was,
I love babyface MJF.
it's really, he's
yeah.
such a baby
Oh,
face.
I'm all about it. It's so great.
it's
this-
wonderful.
He's fully won me over. He
yeah.
loves the company so much, and he really like,
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Like he's a fun troll, but like, that can only go so far. And when you're in like dark times, it's like you want your hero to be a guy who's like grumpy, like the grumpiness
Yes.
met with the like, okay, I guess this is kind of nice. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, we've all had, I guess, the generic heroes that we're like, okay, you smile and you say, I love the city that I'm in. But it's just, there's something about him learning how to even behave himself
Yeah.
or do that's just so beautiful.
And it's very
really,
relatable.
It's good. Yeah.
yeah,
It's very
it gives
nice.
you hope. It's like a redemptive arc.
Yeah. Oh man, I really love him, and I love he had that whole like him looking for friends backstage. Like it was nice to have like a full episode tracking him like trying to find his buddies, and even to your point, John, of how he like he could have had like any number of his enemies could have become his friends, or any number of his or I guess vice versa. But I like this idea that he has a target on his back, and he is he's going through the world trying to maybe rectify that and like learn what real friendship is. I
Yeah.
think that's sweet.
My,
It
fri-
is.
my
Almost-
friend Adam Cole told me it's okay to have more than one friend. And at first I thought that was heresy. But
Adam!
That is so. Screaming Adam is like the new Suck It. I think it must be,
Yes.
right? Middle schools across the country must be full of boys going, Adam! Like, if your name is Adam right now and you're 12, I'm sorry. Like,
Adam! It's also fun to see Roderick Strong finally have like a character.
Oh
after
my
so
God!
long.
After
And
a
I love Roderick
career,
Strong.
he's
Literally
so
his whole
good.
career.
He's just been guy who does good backbreakers and is good at wrestling. And
Yeah.
now he finally has this. I mean, I guess I don't have an intimate knowledge of his career, but it sure did seem like that from every
I've been
time I would see him.
Watching him for at least a decade, and it's
Yeah.
pretty much been that.
Yeah. Well, I like that he takes a neck brace off right before he wrestles and then puts it back on.
Yeah.
Very good
Puts
stuff.
back on immediately.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, there's a question. There's a question written there. That's kind of a spicy question.
I don't.
Ooh.
So people often will.
We're gonna have to fight about this question.
Well,
I'm excited
people
about a
say
question.
stuff. I hear things, scuttlebutts about.
Say the
things.
question.
Do we think Adam Copeland is a nice guy? I think yes. I think he is nice.
Yeah. What do
just
we
heard-
mean?
I just. Well, I've heard some things where people are like, "Oh, he was maybe like a lot to work with in WWE, or he didn't want to lose, or something." But I don't know. It could just be people that don't. I don't know. I also think that he has never been outside of that. There was the thing with Ricky Starks where he like insulted him in the middle of a promo on Collision, and people were kind of pissed about that.
That was like, let them. Sure. I thought people were just like silly. It felt like they were very much like. I felt to me like Adam Copeland was like, hey, let's like have fun not scripting our promos for the second day ever in my whole career.
Yeah.
Like, he was just, he was like, I can't wait for you to say stuff and then I'll say stuff. I think that's what that was.
Yeah, he's just like, this is the first time he's not been in the WWE machine for his whole career. Like Christian has done this multiple times. He's like never been like afraid to leave and reinvent himself. And Cope, it's the first time that he's done this in a long time. Sure, does he love Foo Fighters? Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
Well, I can say I've talked to somebody who's worked with him, who shall remain nameless since I do not have permission to quote this person.
Mm-hmm.
But they, without being prompted at all, like DM me to tell me that he's like one of the nicest people they've ever worked with
Yeah,
in
he
their
seems
life.
great.
Like he's just a total angel. Like I think I posted some clip of Edge years ago and they were like, "Oh my God, this guy, I worked with him on blah, blah, blah. He's like such a nice guy. Oh my God, I'm obsessed with him." It was like nothing but good things.
Everybody
Thank
seems
God.
so happy when he showed up on like Dynamite, and I'm just so happy for him to be there. It's gonna take him time to find. Toni Storm was there for like almost 2 years before she figured out what she was doing. Christian also was. He didn't create this dead family member character immediately. It took him like a while to find this character.
Are you implying that you just think that maybe also he doesn't have anything going for him in terms of his character and impact on the show?
No,
Is
I
that-
think he's been doing well. I don't know. Sometimes, the people start analyzing it pretty hard right away, and there's like a big spotlight on him, and they're like, well, I don't know if he's really, I don't know if I'm into him. And it's like, I mean, he just got there. And also,
He's
the
had
stuff
one
with Christian,
match,
I think, has been great. I think almost every promo he's done has been really good. And that first thing with Christian was so great. Go fuck
Yeah.
yourself. That was awesome.
I really like it. Oh my God. Yeah, that's like a moment of the year. One of them for
Yeah.
sure. Top 10.
I also find that wrestling, I don't know if this is unique to wrestling per se. I feel like it is though, because other worlds that I am in, I don't run into this
What
quite
worlds
as much.
are you in?
But the other multiverses. But I feel like whenever something happens in wrestling, almost no matter what it is, there's two things you can think about it. You can love it or you can hate it. And I feel like inevitably one of those two things is going to come up. Like Edge coming to AEW is always going to be something people hated because it's just one of the only two options they have, right? Like, and I feel like I just hear wrestling fans complain more than I do other fans. And I feel like that's why, is because it's like there's only two positions to take.
Yeah.
And eventually everyone gets bored of liking it. And so they're like, well, now I hate it. Now it's
Yeah.
bad.
I guess I have been so burned by wrestling so many times. I have felt like
By wrestling or by
I've
WWE?
given you what's that? Say that again.
By wrestling
It's
or by WWE?
WWE. Of course, it's WWE. Those fuckers have ruined my life on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
Just dashed my hopes upon the rocks and not apologized or addressed it. And I'm just thinking of I'm just like they've really taken my heart and just F5'd it straight through Kofi Kingston's title run. Just like absolutely with no explanation, never to be seen again. So I guess like for me, I always think about the way that I watch wrestling is like I try even now to like see what it's like to experience it in a vacuum. Like if I'm a few weeks behind, I'll just not use Twitter for 2 weeks and I'll just like delete it from my phone because I don't want to see what's happening in wrestling. And in that time, I get to just like wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
You just get to enjoy it. And then you go back on Twitter and you realize people like hated things that were like fine or loved things that were also fine. It is that there's something in you as a wrestling fan that you want to rage with other people because it's how I guess you converse about it. But some things are okay. Adam Copeland's doing okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is I feel like people, in an effort to like have something to talk about, almost like need to hate. Because I even saw people a few weeks ago complaining about the Tony Storm, the timeless Tony Storm gimmick, and being like, "Well, I don't get it," and I'm just like, okay, so go get a beer during that. Like, you know, like go to the bathroom when she's on screen. Like that's what it's, you know, like this is the beautiful thing about wrestling is when there's something on that I know I'm not going to care about, I can get up and go make a snack and not feel like I'm missing something.
And as John will tell you, there's another 41 hours you could watch of wrestling that week. He's watching it.
Whenever people like make fun of AEW or say AEW sucks, and sometimes they're WWE people, but sometimes they're just like chaos agents who just hate anything having any sort of success. And it's also just very, 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 very easy to be like negatively commenting on stuff from your job that you hate, you know what I mean? And just like throwing a comment on Twitter or on a wrestling article or whatever. But whenever people would say like, "Oh, AEW sucks, it sucks, it's not good," and I'm just like, then just watch WWE. I don't think I can express to somebody how easy it is to just not watch it. It's so if you think WWE is the best most, and I'm not even saying it's not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying WWE sucks. I often say that, but I'm not saying that. They do a lot of things really well. If you think that's the perfect, like the best possible wrestling product, there's 7 fucking hours of it every week. Just watch that. You don't have to even care about AEW. It doesn't have to come into anything at all. You don't have to watch it. Even a little bit. You don't have to read about it. You can ignore it. You could just watch WWE. Raw's 3 hours.
Remarkable.
3 hours.
Remarkably so, yeah.
Remarkably. Been 3 hours for over a decade. They started doing that in 2012, I think, and I thought, I was like, this has got to stop soon, right?
Sustain.
This sucks.
Well, if you watch it, like, I can't watch Raw anymore because I'm like, how could I? It saps my energy to even passively watch a wrestling product for 3 hours. It's like, how much actual lockups can I watch in 7 days? I need to save some of my headlock energy for the show that I want to watch. I just can't see that many people do hip toss, you know? So when I watch Raw, if I ever feel like I'm compelled to or something, and I let's say can fast forward through it, you realize just how like the show is still a 2-hour show. They've just made it in such a way where it is now 3 hours by playing the clip during and after the commercial, and then they play it again later in the show, and then they recap it, and then they'll have somebody talk about it later, and then it's ultimately it remains what should be a 2-hour show, but they just beat it to death with all of those recaps and those bad packages. AEW has those great packages.
It's like the style of all reality TV now. Most reality TV. It's like all Housewives, all The Bachelor. All these episodes are like crazy long because there's an hour and a half of commercials. Yeah. And they're also doing it for people who are doing other like WWE is, to me, and sometimes AEW is like this too, but not as often. To me, it fits in the reality TV category umbrella of TV to watch while you're doing something else. Like, you're not supposed to sit here and just do this. You're supposed to either be on your phone or, like, be cleaning your living room or, like, be doing a little project. Like, you're supposed to be doing something else because they're going to show you everything 8 times. So you can't possibly miss something. Like,
yeah.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, too, like, even how the Tonight Show, it's like you're not supposed to watch the Tonight Show. You're supposed to watch the thing on, YouTube tomorrow.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so, I mean, like, how do I watch SmackDown? I watch SmackDown by watching the clip that starts with Roman Reigns, and I click that clip, and then I scroll down and I say, okay, Io Sky has a match. They've cut it down to 5 minutes so that I could actually watch it. Great. There you go. And now I've watched the 2 things on the show that I want to watch.
A great way to do it too is Reddit, like Squared Circle usually has like, here's the last 2 minutes of this match.
Yes.
And they'll just post it.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's great.
John's good at checking the fight sheets, the squared
dirt
circle,
sheets?
the dirt sheets.
The dirt
Yeah.
sheets.
And
I
if
wanted
you-
to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I was like, I wonder if Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio did anything interesting in Saudi Arabia. And so I just typed in Logan Paul, Rey Mysterio into Twitter. And the only clip it showed me was Rey Mysterio almost dying the whole time.
Yep.
Was that on purpose, you think?
No.
No. I watched also, I'm sure you guys have talked about the Stevie Richards show where he talks about things going right or wrong.
Yes.
He did a breakdown of it. It seems like Logan Paul should have been like much closer
I think
to
so, yeah.
Ray to catch him in this moonsault thing. And he was just far enough away. He wound up saving him in that
Yeah.
moment because he moved in and like caught him. But like had he been closer, Ray would have just hit shoulders. Ray felt like he landed exactly where he always should be.
It didn't seem, because he springboard moonsaulted, I think, right off the
Yeah.
ropes. And
Yeah.
it didn't seem like he didn't get enough momentum or anything. Yeah, it did seem like Logan Paul was a half step back. He also did the buckshot lariat. Better than CM Punk, but not as good as Hangman Adam Page.
He does it it looks really good, and it sometimes does look better than Hangman Adam Page's. I guess maybe not even a hot take, but unfortunately when he does it in Elimination Chamber, for example, it looks like he always lands the flip part at the same moment that he hits the lariat part. And I say, hey, that's pretty good.
Wow. So I guess
Sorry,
we have to respect Logan Paul.
I mean, he's very good at
Take
wrestling.
a moment of silence to do that.
All right.
Sheesh.
Well, one fun thing, moving on from I think we've covered most of the news of the week.
Yeah.
I pitched this idea to John because the TNA is returning.
Total nonstop action.
Before we were recording, I said, why don't you and Brandon each share your favorite TNA moment? Which already makes me laugh because in my head, TNA means something dirty. But so anyway, what?
I'm going to share my favorite dirty version moment.
Great.
Broadway's Chicago.
Oh, wow.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know. When growing up, I wasn't like a big TNA kid, but I would tune in for certain things. There was the time where TNA ran against Raw on the same night, and that was crazy. And TNA was even running ads during Raw, which was extra crazy.
Yeah.
And it was like
Tony
Hulk
Khan
Hogan
move.
took over, and I remember Orlando Jordan covered himself in oil, and all of these weird things were happening on TNA. It was the night where Shawn and Brett on Raw, like shook hands and hugged
up.
maybe for the first time since the bad thing. And so that was a big one. And then I guess the other one, one of my favorite matches, I guess, of Kurt Angle matches that I ever loved. I was a big Kurt Angle kid, and then he, has all these great matches in TNA, and I think he talks about how it's sad that like people don't know, but like probably like a great body of his work is him there, and he has this like bananas cage match against Mr. Anderson, aka Mr. Kennedy, and he does this wackadoo moonsault off the top of the cage and misses and just explodes, and then he kicks Anderson in the dick and balls on his way out of the cage, and it was a great match and a great time. So that might be mine. Or
That's my other
spooky
wrestling
night,
promotion,
yeah.
DNB. Kurt Angle has one of the best moonsaults in the wrestling industry, in the history of professional wrestling, and I don't think he has ever hit it. I think it's like an inside joke, basically, that he is never. It's beautiful, it's perfect, and he misses every single time. And yeah, it's crazy that Kurt Angle, like most of, maybe even more than half of his career, is from TNA. I actually watched it a good amount in like the mid 2000s, and then from like 2011 probably to like 13 or 14, I watched it like every week because it was I didn't have a lot going on, and it was now we have a lot going on. I have so much going on now.
Sure.
And it was like pretty good. I was they were doing some good stuff, but I would say probably my favorite TNA moment was Christian Cage debuting at the time I think it was still NWA TNA, or maybe it was TNA at that point, and they seceded. But it was such a big deal because it was like Christian was one of my favorite guys in WWE, wasn't getting the respect that a lot of us thought he should get, and then he was the first big like WWE guy to jump to TNA and help like kind of legitimize them to a degree. And that's why I said Christian's never been afraid to just go try something. And Edge, has largely been in WWE. Edge, I don't blame Edge for not leaving. Edge has always
Blame
gotten a
him.
lot of.
Blame
I will
him.
not blame. I am Cope. I don't blame you. That was great. There was a great heel turn that Bully Ray did literally 10 years ago when he joined the very not stupid at all faction of Aces and Eights. But the actual heel turn was really well done, and people were like throwing shit at the ring. It was great.
What?
Bully
can
Ray
I-
is a
I
guy
would
you
love
want to throw things at.
Oh man, I went to high school with his niece, I believe.
Wow.
That was a thing. It is one of those things where I don't know. I feel like you grow up.
Did
in
that
Brooklyn,
mean something to you at the time? Were you like,
Did.
oh, okay.
It was huge.
Wow.
We'd ask her lots of questions. I think she showed us like a picture of just like smiling next to each other. We were like, oh!
Oh my god.
Just, I mean, really, it is so crazy being a kid who likes wrestling. My buddy Nick and I went to see, hold on, this might actually be my favorite. Okay, take it all back. Here's my favorite TNA memory. The TNA did a show in Cyclone Stadium in Brooklyn, like where the Brooklyn Cyclones play.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this show, and it was like a house show. Obviously it was not aired, and it was in a baseball arena. And Earl Hebner, I got his autograph, and I was like, "Hey, I really like that time where," and he just like spit chewing tobacco into a cup and signed my paper, and I was like, "Okay." And then we were just hanging out. We walked to the edge of the stadium. We looked down, and Jeff Hardy was just sitting there, just like smoking a cigarette and just like on his phone. And we were like, "Jeff Hardy!" And he looked up, and he like made like a weak little like guns, and Nick was like, "I got your tattoo on my arm." He's like, like whatever. And then we went down to the ring at the end of you were allowed to go in, and it was my first time stepping into a real wrestling ring. And I stepped into a wrestling ring and took a picture with RVD, who's so tall, and you think he's little, but
Wow.
he's big. Yeah, it was great. Oh man, it was amazing.
You
So-
think he's little, but he's big.
you
That
think
is great.
he does rollies, he does flippies, and you say you must be little like
No,
me.
I watched some like ROH DVDs from like 2005, and Matt Hardy is somebody you always think of as he's like a cruiserweight high flyer guy, and then he would be in there with like Roderick Strong, and he would be like twice the size, and it's like, oh yeah, in WWE, a giant is still small to them.
The Hardys are so nice. We met Matt Hardy at
Oh yeah,
Comic-Con.
lovely man.
A couple weeks ago, we met Matt Hardy. He's just sitting there. He's just sitting
Just-
there out in the
just
open, isn't
hanging
it?
out.
It's so weird because you're like walking the floor at Comic-Con, and then there's just all these. There's like Jake the Snake, and like all these guys just like there at their tables, just
Teddy
standing
DiBiase
there.
somehow still out and about.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, how is Matt Hardy just allowed out in the public? Isn't that dangerous for him?
You
I
would
don't know.
think so. You would think so, but
was telling
he
us-
is. Yeah, he was not deleted. So
No, he was not, and he was very sweet to us. I brought up his kids, and he told me all about Wolfie, and it was nice.
That's
Yeah.
so sweet.
I knew
It
the
was,
way to
yeah.
do it was to bring up his kids too. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say something about I know about his kids, and
That's the
then
way.
and
Yeah.
his kids are all like on the social media and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's not weird to bring up the kids,
No, it's
like
not like
seeing your
kids-
content.
I'm not
are
like
also-
I've seen your kids.
They are major characters in a great many of his matches. They are technically, unfortunately, TV personalities.
Yeah,
I
I'm a
believe-
fan of Gothic Baby.
Gothic
Gothic
Baby
Baby
is great.
is important to me.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Anne, what's your favorite TNA moment?
You know, I never watched TNA. I watched Impact.
Impact
though.
counts.
I
It's
liked
the same thing.
Impact. I liked
Yeah.
that Impact. The thing that I've always loved about
an
Impact
Impact shirt.
is that Trinity is there,
Trinity.
and as I used to joke to John, Impact always had a vibe of like Juggalo, like it always had like a like
It's baked into their
somebody
history.
in this audience has gone to the gathering.
Absolutely.
I'm drinking a Faygo right now.
Absolutely.
Like it just has that vibe. And then I also like that it has like a cinematic universe kind of like with the there's that realm they go into sometimes because that evil demon priest guy and his daughter who's
Father
in the
James
coven,
Mitchell?
Father James Mitchell. Like there's like is it called the Shadow Realm? I'd have to look it up. It's
didn't know
like
about this.
they have
don't
like
know
a
anything
whole
about this.
there's lore. There's just a lot of lore and I dig lore. So you know, I think that's kind of cool the way that they have, even though they kind of have like an indie vibe, which I mean in the best way possible. When I say indie vibe, I mean that in a nice way. They still take the time to like build a whole world. They don't just like throw a couple guys in the ring and let them roll around. And Joe Hendry, oh God, I believe in Joe Hendry so much.
I actually think it was been great for them to re-embrace that indiness. I think that's helped them a lot.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic slowed them down a little bit again, but I think that really like around like 2017 or 18, they started just embracing that they were a big indie. They were just like really, and it's helped them. So they weren't trying to beat WWE anymore,
Which was like never gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
Where are they with the ring? Is it
four
square?
sides?
Four
They're
sides.
staying four sides,
They're sticking with that.
They're
even
sticking with the four sides.
Rebrand. The
Yeah.
Is that, am I getting that right? Probably at this point.
Rebrand.
Because
the rebrand.
Because they were TNA. Well, they were NWA TNA, then they were TNA, then they were Impact, then they were Global Force Wrestling for like a couple months.
Don't remember that.
And then they realized they didn't actually have the copyright to that. I think Jeff Jarrett owned it. And then they had a falling out with him. So they went back to Impact, and now they're TNA again. Also, one more quick one is I went to a TNA Impact taping in the Manhattan Center, Hammerstein Ballroom or something. And this little kid was screaming so hard for Rhino to gore somebody. And all he wanted was like, gore, gore. And he was like, and I was like, he's going to do it. They even set up a table in the corner, I think. And I was like, even if he doesn't do it in the match, after the match, he'll gore somebody. And then he never gored anybody. And this kid was like, I felt so bad for this
It was
kid.
probably because of that kid.
Yeah, he was like, you know
Tonight,
what?
I'm not going to. I feel like, how do you not? It is sad.
No gore tonight.
That's like not playing Piano Man if you're Billy Joel. Like, play Piano Man, you asshole. We all came here. You have to do it. You have to play Piano Man.
For all the children. For all the children in the Billy Joel concert.
Piano Man! Piano Man!
Yeah, I heard. Have you ever seen the clip of him making fun of that song about the end of the world that he has, where he's like, "This song doesn't make any sense," and he just like goes verse by verse, and he's like, "Why do you like this? This is bad. Whatever," and then he just plays it for 8 minutes.
We didn't start the fire. We didn't start the fire.
It's the
Is that what it is?
I see the lights go out on Broadway. It's about the end of the world, I think.
Oh,
Pretty sure.
I think
don't
so. I don't know.
I'm
I'm
not as
I'm not that deep in the Billy Joel catalog. I'll be honest. I was more
Oh,
of a
sure.
Bruce
We just
Springsteen
watched
person,
his Super
but
Bowl halftime performance last night as a rewatch.
I saw him. I have never seen him. I haven't seen him live since I went and saw him live with my mom and my sister in Omaha, Nebraska. And he went on stage like an hour late, and we were in the standing room.
Sorry, everybody.
And it was like a 3-hour show because, he turns like Jungle Land into a 17-minute song. And I just remember standing there watching him and being like, I'm not having fun.
But he was
at
having the
all.
time of his life. So.
I was like, I love these songs, but not this much.
Yeah, I have a friend who's been maybe 100 times. And he really is consistently. Yeah, my friend Steve. I sell him his bandanas. He goes so hard every night,
No. And I know some people love it, but I just
Bruce,
I'm
he's
not
the Terry Funk of music. He'll go on forever.
All right.
Also, one other quick TNA thing. When you're talking about Jeff Hardy smoking a cigarette, when he was briefly a heel in Immortal, when he was a heel and he came out, Mr. Anderson won a title shot and they like reverse Money in the Banked it. Jeff Hardy came out to give him his title shot like after the match, and he came out smoking a cigarette. It was great. Like a real just scumbag.
That is
great. And then he lost. It was great. It was really good. It was whatever their January pay-per-view was that year. I watched it on my iPod. Anyway, let's move on to the shorter versions of things. So when we went to the shooting range, pew, 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 this is where we talk about stuff that's real. I'm gonna actually talk about. I'm gonna go reverse order because I think this first thing will be faster. But NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, they just signed a deal with the CW to have their show on TV instead of just like YouTube. But they said that they were going to be on TV, but now, and they said they weren't going to care about what was on the pay-per-views or whatever. And then they had a thing where they had Father James Mitchell actually and a group doing like fake cocaine on the pay-per-view. They like showed them at a table like they were partying real hard, huh? And they're like all doing
that
lines
is
of coke.
wild.
Like,
I don't think I've
on
ever
the table,
seen that
and
in wrestling.
It's pretty cool, honestly. And then now the rumor is that CW is like, we're just going to put you on the CW app. And they may have like totally screwed themselves with this thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like too big into it, but I like that it exists. Much like a lot of like MLW is another one where I'm like, I don't watch this, but I'm
there's
glad
always
it
that
exists,
off chance that you're just gonna be somewhere and you're like having like an important dinner, and then you see there's a TV across the restaurant and it's just playing a wrestling show you don't watch, but you get excited about it, and that's special.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it could get you out of the conversation, or just
and
there's a place for people to work.
Television,
but
that would have been so cool. UPN 9 used to be
huge.
where
Yeah, and
you
it's
watched
weird.
SmackDown, I think, right? UPN was 9 for me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird that they would back. I mean,
9 for me,
CW's audience is actually. I think they found out that CW's audience is actually not kids. It's actually like 50-year-olds. So it's surprising to me
Kids
they're
don't
so
watch
squeamish.
like
but
television.
oh well. Yeah,
Nope.
exactly.
Yeah,
Kids don't do coke anymore either. They're doing Molly.
Come
And
on.
Yeah, really. I don't even think you can get cocaine anymore. Isn't everything
fentanyl.
like?
you got to stop trying
It's
to get
all-
cocaine.
Isn't everything
It's
like
all-
fentanyl
You said it like
now?
crocodile,
Yeah.
which I liked. Fentanyl.
It
I was trying to put
I
a
liked
fun
it.
spin on it, you know.
An Australian person.
R
trying to get
nor.
fentanyl.
It's
Fentanyl.
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 Oh my God.
It does have multiple syllables when you say it in Australian. And another nice thing, I don't know if does anybody have thoughts about that?
No,
Does
I
they want to get in
that
before
was
I
my
move on
thought.
to the next thing?
Fentanyl.
That was my thought.
Great. All right. And then the other thing in the shooting range, Maxwell Jacob Friedman's got himself another little girlfriend after he broke up with his old
fiancé.
fiance.
His old fiance.
His old fiance. I didn't mean it like this.
No,
Previous
she was a
fiancé. I
Dorian
didn't mean she was
Gray,
old.
and he was the
But,
painting. And when she looked at him, unfortunately, she caught up with how old she really was. Specific reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
I
haven't
read
read
the
that,
Great
so I can't.
Illustrated
I know the
Classic
reference,
version,
but I
which
didn't-
you remember those books? Turns out they're all abridged, and I didn't know. And I
Yeah.
thought I read all these books, and here I am. I actually am back to 0. Sucks.
I love that. Yeah, but he has a new girlfriend. I just followed her on Twitter. You're welcome,
gonna do it,
Alicia
too.
Atout.
Mm-hmm. She used to be an interviewer for MLW, and also I think she worked like All In as like a backstage interviewer, and maybe some AEW and maybe Impact, I think. But MLW is the one I've seen her in most. I think she was also dating Trey Miguel of Impact, the Rascals faction for a while, but now she's with MJF, and it's nice because I worry about him sometimes. You know, he gets so hard into things, and I worry. I want him to have.
He's the real he's got an intensity.
Yeah.
And you want him to be grounded in something.
Yes.
And I for one, person who doesn't know this man, I'm happy that he's finding love. How about that? Yeah. Love is good, and people should have it. That's my hot take.
Yeah.
He's got a friend. He's a babyface. He's probably going to get back the big Burberry belt.
What if he does a heel turn where he burns all these bridges with all these friends and then he breaks up with her? And we're just like, this is even scarier because it means all his relationships are contingent on like where his character's at in the kayfabe.
It's all a work. His whole life is a work.
Yeah, his whole life is becoming a work.
Good for him.
But I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's a shoot.
All right. Should we do the awards?
We should do the awards.
Brandon, are you
heard
familiar
them.
with our awards?
I'm looking at them, and
You're
I'm gonna
free to
throw in
participate
I
if you
have
like.
any.
Yeah.
If you have any, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You can
Okay,
also
great.
just comment on ours
Happy to.
if that's easier. Or second. Maybe you could pick which
That's
one of
great.
ours is
I
the
like
right
that.
one.
I like that.
Oh, that's great. You can judge. That's great. That's really great. Glad we brainstormed that in the moment. So we'll start off with promo of the week. I said the one that nobody else but me has watched. David Finlay, the current leader of Bullet Club in Japan, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, smashing the IWGP US and UK Heavyweight Championship belts. So the US Heavyweight title is like kind of the second biggest title in New Japan, and Will Ospreay had branded it as the UK title. And so he had this like both belts, and they're kind of trying to set up a story with him and John Moxley. And he said that it was like the U.S. title is really important to Moxley, the UK title is really important to him. And David Finlay came out with a big old mallet and smashed the shit out of these belts, like just completely destroyed them. And it was like there were a lot other things that happened this week that were great promos. And Finlay's not like the greatest promo, but it was shocking, and I liked it. I thought it was a good way to work him into this, and it was like a big surprise ending, and they said they're going to replace it with a
That's
new
pretty
championship.
awesome. I like the idea of destroying
So
a
we'll see
belt.
Yeah, it was
Just
pretty
like-
cool. Oh, he beat the shit. He like destroyed. They broke pieces off, and it's like dented in. Like
Yeah,
it's
John and I each
I'll
have
send you
half a
something.
belt. But
Yeah.
That's how we're tag champs, is we each have half a belt.
Yeah.
We should think about rebranding it,
Yeah.
he said, in a kind of kayfabe kind of way. Yeah, there you go.
I'll call David Finlay.
And if you put the two halves of the belt together, then this gigantic robot comes out of a volcano that only you two can control,
yeah, we play a
and
flute,
it fights.
and then it does what we tell it to.
Yeah.
And the robot plays just heavy metal,
Mm-hmm.
non copyright heavy metal.
Yeah.
And
Mine. I didn't write any of mine down, so these are all
I know
surprises.
it's going to be surprised.
So mine, I mentioned it earlier, and it might be one only I've also seen, but it is the Dalton Castle rolling around on the ground because his eye hurts and saying that he sent the Acclaimed an email. Specifically sending the Acclaimed an email is a brilliant, brilliant thing for someone to say, because
So
the idea of these
funny.
people emailing each other is just silly to me.
I also like
And
that
then-
they have one email.
And then after he says that, he's like, I sent them an email. And then Leah's like, well, maybe you should have texted. And he's like, and he goes, no, there's only one way to get through to people like that. And then it ends with him writhing around on the ground in pain because of his eye and yelling, "This is my locker room. Everybody get out. This is my locker room. Everybody else get out." And he sits up and looks at the camera and goes, "What are you still doing here? Get out." It's a brilliant performance from Dalton Castle.
Sounds like a CM Punk impression.
And it was I laughed out loud watching it on Instagram. So
Well,
that's
I'm
my
gonna.
promo of
I'll
the week.
judge. I'll judge.
That was
now.
great.
Although I will say, I think you guys
Yeah.
should watch
Okay.
John Cena's little raspy one. It was also preceded by Solo
Okay.
talking for one of the first times. He cuts like a very tiny little promo.
Okay.
But It's
Oh.
very tiny. It's almost a non-existent promo.
Would you say it's your
I'll
promo
give
of the
it
week?
Yeah, I'll give it to that little promo exchange, because I'm also counting on a little watch. Like, how many more like John Cena in a feud promos do we really have? We got to count those precious little moments.
That's true.
but-
That's true.
That said, both
it's
of
like action
yours,
story.
I don't think I've ever seen someone trying to get heat over an email not being responded to, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone destroy a belt with a hammer. So I'm gonna call this one a 60-minute time limit draw, or TV time remaining. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Broadway.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yep.
The old
Gotcha,
Broadway.
You got us. I love that.
I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
All right, match of the week. Do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, okay.
Do you
Fine.
need time to think of it?
No. Oh, stop it. You stop it. Okay. No, actually, my match of the week is Io Sky and Bianca Belair, because the Kairi of it all was very exciting. And before the Kairi, because like I watched that match knowing Kairi was coming in, and I just felt really captivated because they kept it at such an even keel the whole time that I was like, well, how are they gonna make it so that like Kairi has to rescue her, because like the momentum is so equal here. And I was just really invested the whole time because they were really good at doing that. And also they looked great. My hot take is that I actually love the Saudi Arabia women's
Kairi
gear.
Sane's was the coolest
Like,
thing I've
even-
ever seen. It looked like she fucking like came
Yeah.
from Fast X and entered the arena on a fucking motorcycle. It was the coolest.
Yeah.
They all look so badass in these like full body suits, and Io's pants. Like John said, she looked like a '90s hacker character
Yes.
or something that you would have seen in a
Yeah.
movie or something. But like, and I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. It's in the best
It was
way though.
awesome.
It's like so cool looking. Anyway, that was my match of the week was Io and Bianca.
It was great, and I was also excited to see Kairi back. My match of the week was a match also that neither of you saw, and it was Will Ospreay versus Shota Umino for the IWGP US UK Heavyweight Championship, which main evented Power Struggle. What a damn match. It was 40 minutes, did not feel like 40 minutes at all. It was actually their second match, and there was just like a lot of emotion and story to it. And New Japan is very good at like little details and things, and like I feel like people almost aren't even that like don't watch it regularly, almost aren't aware that like everything there is like very story heavy, and like everything that they do. I can't watch like they do a lot of
Why don't you watch all of them, John?
shows.
You should
And
watch
so
more
they're
wrestling.
often like I can't. This is the only one where I'm like I can watch the tournament matches, which are a lot already, and then like the big
shows?
shows usually, and I'll
Watch the big
scan
show?
like their
Well,
big shows. Yeah, actually, that was. You know what? I'm changing. No, never mind. No, but that was. But it's just very. It's great. And it was just. Obviously Will Ospreay's on a big old roll with these just insane matches. But it was so great. And Shota Umino is like one of the next generation New Japan guys. And he's kind of been like one of my favorite of those guys. And he's had a lot of fire and stuff. Technically, I guess he's a Nepo baby to a degree because his dad is
Nepo baby
the,
doesn't
main referee there,
apply in
Red
wrestling.
Shoes.
It's a cool thing. You're a legacy. It just doesn't count
That's
for whatever reason.
That's true. I did think that like WrestleMania this year in Hollywood was the perfect setting for Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes Battle of the Nepo Babies.
Well,
But
it is. It's kind of like when there's like a whole
Yes, you're
family
like,
in the
"Good."
circus.
We like
It's like that.
And it is
Yeah,
the
it's like-
wrestling is the
yeah.
circus. We
Flying
cannot
Grape.
forget. It just already is that. Yeah, of
Right.
course.
It is.
Exactly. Yeah.
it 100% is. But this is a great match. And Shota is like, there's a lot of really great guys. Yota Tsuji's another guy who's really great. But Shota's shown a lot of fire, and this was like a great performance all around, not just athletically, but character-wise. And then Jon Moxley comes out because he was like dead basically in this match, and Will Ospreay was just like messing with him. And then Jon Moxley, who was like his mentor, who took a liking to him, runs down to the ring because he was also on this show. And if you're worried about Jon Moxley's concussion health, he wrestled
I
a
was gonna
crazy
say.
hardcore match in this show, so he's fine, I guess, or he just doesn't care. And he comes down and he was just like, "Get
Yes,
the
I
fuck
saw
up! Don't fucking quit! You fucking..." Like, and he was just because he can just swear in New Japan. And it was just so great. And then David Finlay came out with that mallet. Really great stuff. If you watch one New Japan match, watch this, and his match with Yota Tsuji also was great. Ospreay had a couple months ago or weeks ago.
Well, I'd
Brandon?
say one of the matches of the week. This is honestly crazy to suggest because I only watched highlights of it, but the highlights that I saw were pretty amazing. Which is the Dia de los Muertos lucha match on Rampage, which was bananas. They just
So good.
when you watch a match and there's like
Bananas.
4 things that you've never ever seen before in a wrestling match, and you're like, wow. How do you not give that at least match of the week? People talking about, you put on good wrestling. If you've never seen wrestling before, anyone can enjoy it. I think you put on like a lucha match with 3 of the best in the world. It was Commander Penta and El Io del Vikingo, and they just Vikingo does like a cartwheel on the outside into a headset, like on the on what's the banister? That's not the word. On the guardrail, does a cartwheel into a head scissor. It was like, what? Are you just sitting there, just like staring up at night, can't sleep, and just thinking, I'm gonna do a cartwheel on the gosh darn guardrail? It was special, worth watching. Certainly, the 25-second clip that I watched.
Yeah.
So
Vikingo
crazy.
rocks.
He's great.
Didn't he get #1 on a list recently of like best professional, or he was like in the top 5 or
I
something?
think he was in the top,
He's
probably the top 10
incredible.
of the PWI
Incredible.
500.
Yeah,
I can't wait
Be in
to
yeah, I
there.
see
think that's
more
what it
and
was.
more and more.
Yeah.
And
He's
more and
nuts.
more.
It's great. And I almost didn't even watch Rampage, which was actually a great little show. And that was the thing that pulled me in, was that match.
Yeah.
And it was great. It's not even for like a title or anything. It's just a
Just
bunch of
having a good
guys
time.
doing cool stuff.
Yeah. So what you're saying
no,
also
no,
is that
and
we're both
I'm going
wrong.
to vote, and I'm going to.
Yeah. No. I think it's funny if it's like you're both
There's
wrong.
actually
this is the correct one.
disqualification on this
an
one
option.
because I voted. So this one was a DQ. Okay, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Another schmaz. All right, and then outfit of the week. We already talked about it a lot, but I just said all of the WWE women at Crown Jewel because,
Yeah,
as you said,
but
they
I
could
have a
these cool-
specific
Yeah.
one. I think
That was
Rhea
crazy.
Ripley wins
Mhm.
for
Are we
look,
including
for overall
25
look.
men with
because
cups
her
as part of
makeup.
her outfit? Because I'm including it.
That
10
was-
minutes of cups.
I
10 minutes
didn't know
of
what I was
cups.
watching there.
Oh my God.
I was like, surely this is the last guy with a cup, and
So
then it
many-
was like,
so many
nope,
cups.
there's 5 more. And then
I
it really had
didn't
nothing to do with the
understand it at all.
entrance.
Then her
But
son
her-
just
her-
hit and she walked right past him. It was so funny.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. But yeah, the latex black onesie kind of thing. And then with the eye makeup, I just thought she killed it. I just was like, this is how Rhea
Yes.
Ripley should dress every
I have that
week.
thought
Anyway.
too with some of them where it's like
Oh.
sometimes they'll nail one of these to the point where you're like, this feels like actually what your gimmick always was. Rhea could have worn that on Monday. You know, like that's absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think I would give it to Kairi just for I just loved that one. I wanted to wear it. It looks so cool. She looked like a race car driver.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite one, John?
I'll say EO for looking like a hacker from a 90s like
Yeah.
future movie, and her character name would have just been Sky.
Yeah. I love that.
What's the finish on
Oh,
that?
yeah,
Who
what's the
won?
finish?
Anne. not doing a wrestling one on this one. Anne
Okay.
one.
All right, moving on.
Mommy.
Okay,
Mommy's always on top.
Mummy. And then this is a new one I just added on a whim. Shock of the week. I put Kairi Sane returns because I had heard rumblings that she'd be back at some point, but I didn't know it would happen there, so I was surprised.
I'm gonna say shock of the week for me would probably be MJF
Yeah,
scissoring.
just
Didn't he do that
happened.
this week?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very-
MJF scissoring.
Very well earned.
Only because I just, if you'd asked me a month ago if that was going to happen in a month, I would have been like, "You're crazy. You're nuts. He's not going to scissor.
Why
Call me
would-
nuts.
Why would he scissor?" But then he scissored, and I was like, "I'm alive to see this.
It
That's
was really nice.
beautiful.
It was
Beautiful.
a feel good kind of TV moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Blue Mist.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing on that whole episode that actually made me go, "Wow!" It was Blue Mist, which I loved. It was in a direction that I didn't expect, and hopefully leads to just some character direction. For a very hardworking, talented wrestler.
She's one of the most prolific wrestlers in AEW. There's also almost never an AEW show without Sky Blue.
Yeah.
She appears on almost every single. There was a streak of like 2 months where she was on like
yeah.
every Dynamite and Rampage. It was pre-collision. Yeah, that's it. And then we do one more thing at the end that we like to do called Nerd Fantasy Booking.
Okay.
If you don't have one, it's okay. But the one that I have,
If this is bookings that are just like crazy, the laws
Great.
of physics don't apply. You know what I mean? Like anything that
one.
you
Got
want
one.
to
You
book
go
in your
first,
head.
yeah. And this
Oh, great.
one, this one's not even that crazy. This could happen. I want TNA and AEW to combine into one
Excellent.
company called TNAEW.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's one
Seems
thing.
possible, honestly. I don't
uh,
know if they'd always call it that, but someone would.
Mhm. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so mine is actually not that crazy. and might just be what's going to happen, but it's what's at the front of my mind right now. And that is, I think Bailey needs to go face again with her wacky wavy, like, guys coming back and everything. She needs to bring all of that back because Io and Kairi are going to team up into a heel faction that's going to try to take down Damage Control. So then Damage Control has to become good. And I think a bunch more people should join Damage Control, namely one Mercedes Moné, now that Vince is no longer in charge of the WWE. Anyway, that's I added the Mercedes in there to make it more crazy.
Mhm.
But like all of that otherwise is, I think, probably where we're headed.
Okay.
Or I hope
Probably.
where we're headed.
All right, here's mine. I got it. All right. LA Knight, after having not been able to secure the thing that he wanted, the world title, leaves WWE in shame and debuts on AEW as LA Day and forms the House of Light. House of White? No, that's not fun. Forms the White House.
No,
and
no.
they are and
Oh, the
it's
White House.
him
Perfect,
and
perfect.
it's all of like the very positive wrestlers. So it's like Willow and I think honestly Sky Blue because she like got their powers and now she can spread it to them. And then you get like a big faction where it's the White House versus the House of Black, and they do war games against each other. And yeah, I said war games, not blood and guts. They do.
That's
war
great.
games.
I love that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Also, my only pitch for
There,
that is
there
that
it
he's
is.
NY Day.
He's now bi-coastal.
Yeah,
NY Day.
yeah.
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 I think that's a magazine.
I'm get-
Probably.
I did speaking like from earlier because I said the thing about 12-year-olds yelling at him. I did actually see a teacher on TikTok complaining that like now when she asks kids to like pay attention, she's like, "Can everybody hear me?" And you're supposed to go like, "Yes, ma'am," or something. She's like, all the kids go, "Yeah."
Wow.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, these poor
sorry,
teachers,
you
they
broke up for a
can't."
second. Yeah, no, but I
Oh,
but
you did?
I did
Okay.
get the gist that teachers are being horrified by AEW's influence.
Yeah, teachers are being forced to deal with LA night pilled kids who
Yeah.
say "yeah" instead
Yeah. I'm not like a huge LA Knight fan. I mean, I'm happy for him because he's worked really hard and he's really over. And I'm like, dude, give him the title. I think he's cool and everything, and sometimes I enjoy him. But I've never been like a huge fan. But I was drunk watching SummerSlam, and all of us were
Yeah.
just constantly being like, yeah,
Yeah.
it is so fun to
we
do.
both just did
Yeah.
it.
It is so fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much. That's all I have time for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Everybody go listen to Who's That Pokemon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's That
Every
Pokemon
friggin' week.
podcast?
Is
Check
it-
it out on Spotify, on Apple Music. And we've even got a live show coming up for you. This is going to be on November
Yeah, I was gonna say.
17th in New York City. If anyone's interested, at the City Vineyard, you could check us out. We're covering Togepi, the little Pokemon. We got lots of fun surprises for you. You get tickets at bit.ly/WTP live. We're going to spend an hour talking about the goddamn egg one, the egg Pokemon, Togepi.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Brandon. And I'm excited
Oh,
to
thanks, guys.
see
Yeah.
your show.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Who was that guy?